Káàbọ̀. Welcome back, everyone. Sheshefun. This is where we try to enlighten our guests with pure spirituality, pure psychicism, pure ritual, and a holistic purity that we're bringing into our lives. So, if you have any questions about, the non-toxic spirituality, the proper expression of, Black African culture, Black African spirituality, religion, and practice, shoot us an email and we'll get back to you and we'll answer your questions on air. So this is another question that we got in regards to ritual and prayer and how often should I be engaging in prayer. So a couple of things that popped up. I got this message from a good sister who received some insight from someone by stating that, how often should we be giving our Orisha food? How often should we be giving offerings to our deity? So this was her tutelary deity that she initiated into, and she was stating that someone was telling her like the more that you give to them, like the more they're going to start asking for more and more things to give, and they'll never be satisfied. Or the more that you give a deity, the more lazy it's going to be, and it's not going to act as effectively as one should, as one would want. So that question kind of caught me off guard. And then I heard something from another person, and this was someone, non-African, who was asking something, who stated something from a Santeria or Candomblé express. I think it was Santeria was their expression. And so what they were saying was that in regards, somebody asked a question about Eshu. And to me, of course, every person has a different relationship with Eshu. Well, let me say, Obatala practitioners have a different relationship with Eshu than the Ifa practitioner. Because recall, and it's not, we're not, competing. This isn't a battle, so to speak, but we're going to call a spade, call it for what it is. So Orumila, as we, of course, we know is Tahuti. It's the, Fa, the deity of wisdom, the deity that knows the relationship between multiple things and can find some type of resolution. The thing that can sense and find order, wisdom, and some type of sagacious advice to lead entities and people in the right direction. So Orumila does not have any ashe of his own. Orumila borrows the ashe of Eshu. And this is why Eshu's face is on the Opon, that circular divination board of Ifa. So someone was asking a question, and to me, I'm thinking, okay, if you want to form a relationship with this entity, it's nothing much to give Eshu an offering on a daily basis. So Eshu is really simple. You have your palm oil, you have, and it's not palm kernel oil, it's palm oil. Palm kernel oil is a taboo to Eshu, and that's a type of rage that you don't want to come down on you. So it's palm oil, and then honey and OT, but of course, which is a strong drink or gin. Of course, there's an order, so it's honey, palm oil, and OT. And I'm saying, you can just put that on the Eshu icon, and every day, and then you should be good to go to keep sickness, death, all the malevolent spirits away from you. So the person replied was that, no, if you do this every day, they're going to ask for more. If you keep feeding them more, they're going to ask you for blood and stuff like that. And then a lot of the other students in the classroom, they're saying, yeah, I agree. You shouldn't be giving it every day. You can do it, every now and again, and so forth and so on. So I'm really questioning the intentions of some of the responses. Now, some could be because, people have 5,100 icons and it's too much for them to be doing, or some people may not see the importance of Orisha icons as I do, or some people may not be, that may not be their thing. Some people have different, ritual routines, and some people have different routines in their chores. Some people don't like to clean, they clean every now and again. There's some people who only come to the Orisha to ask them for something. So I don't know what the intentions are, and all of my intentions, as you guys will see, it's pure. So not only did I disagree with that, but we have to start to take a look at there's many different roles that individuals will play as an Orisha, Olorisha, so to speak. One is that there's some people who are initiated and some people aren't. So if you were initiated and this is your tutelary, your main deity that you're propitiating. Now, they will probably say it during your divinations, during your divination, during your initiation. So with me, it was said that, yeah, you need to propitiate Obatala very, very frequently. So some people do like the once in 30 days. Now, I don't believe in that personally. To me, I don't, I just think that's kind of lazy, if you ask me. So not only it was specifically said to me to do so, we also know that whichever Orisha in our culture, and everybody calendar system is different. So in Akan, they have their 7-day week, and that 7-day week has nothing to do with the Gregorian calendar or whatnot. We have our calendar, actually the calendars of the West was directly influenced by the African calendar. But we know the Yoruba, we have a different calendar system that's based on the 4 cardinal points. We have 4 days. So your deity is going to roll around every 4 days, right? And so to me, it said that when Obatala's day is here, Obatala is coming through this world to make sure that people are keeping up with their taboos. So there's stories on how, for an example, Salako, another young child who mother prayed to Obatala to have a child, and they were asked to wear white. And so, for an example, the story with Salako, he was wearing white initially, but he got tired of wearing all of this white. He was saying, I don't want to wear white today. I want to do purple. I'm not trying to do white today. I want to put on red. But each day that he was doing that was on Obatala's day, and he was getting offended. And so all of the blessings that Salako was supposed to receive, he threw it away and gave it to somebody else. So they say, what? Salako umbala and for me, or Rishag Wuji, Motewa Meko Wako for me. So in that story, we're literally praying like, Salako, if you don't want your blessings, if you're going to throw your blessings away, please give it to me. Give it to me. It was something that he was supposed to do on Obatala's day that he neglected to do so. So as I was, I guess, being a young apprentice to one of my babalaos, even though I don't do Ifa, but I'm just overseeing the Ebo part of divination. So the sister was saying, she thought when her E-Day broke, her E-Day was the Ifa bead, and she was an Ifa Omo Awo, I believe they call it. She was studying Iyanifa. So her E-Day broke, and so she thought that it was like a reprimand spiritually for her not keeping up with her ritual. And then I forgot what she said that she needed, but she was saying that I don't have this, or I don't know how to do something to propitiate her E-King, the icon over Rumila. And so, well, I responded, did you give it, gin, alcohol, and honey? And she was like, no. And I told her that, sometimes, you have to do the best you can with what you got, right? If you may not have all these different type of leaves, different types of herbs, if there's something that you can't give, or a certain type of animals or certain type of foods that you can't do, start with what you can do. Because once these icons are properly consecrated and properly clean, these things are active. So that's like the face of your deity. And if that deity is getting neglected, what do you think the response is going to be? So again, I'm not agreeing to what people are saying, like, oh, you can do it once in every, well, I get it at minimum, right? Once in every 30 days if you're initiated to that deity. Because you have to think about it. Well, what was the purpose of you even making that commitment with that deity, right? So we were studying an essay from Obara that this ELO Risha asks why this situation even came up now. It's it was saying something like, when we're shouting Ogun's body will be strong. So when we're reading and breaking down the 8 hidden parts of each divinatory poem, that is saying that the more that you call the deity, the more of a response is going to give to you. The more that you're giving it offerings, the more that it's going to turn around and bless you. And we're not doing it egotistically. We're not doing something just to get something in return. Because I think there was a story from Ejioko that was stating that doing malevolence, doing a positive act with bad intentions is only going to cause negativity towards your lives. So the meaning or the purpose behind our offerings are altruistic. We're doing it from a pure heart. But the more that you give something, is the more this thing is going to bless you. So that's one thing if you're initiated into something. Now, with the other part is that it's this belief that people choose to get initiated into several different deities. Now, this is my opinion, and it's different from, I suppose, divination, which I'll briefly consider. But before someone even initiates the first time, there should be some type of casting to confirm which Orisha followed you here. And this is a big conversation, a big debate about, is there such thing as head Orishas that this is made up in the West? That's not true. Yes, there is. And then also, this was something that was confirmed during my divination, to where my elders said, yes, Obatala is the one that followed you here from Orun to Aye, from the spirit world to the material world. And there was a lot of things that these priestess and priests were saying that I didn't like. They didn't know me from a can of paint, and I didn't say anything, and they were pulling through very authentic information. But when you have people that are initiating to several Orisha, that is ritually taxing. So one, it doesn't matter who you initiate to. You have to form a relationship and propitiate your Egungun. You have to form a relationship and propitiate your Ori Anu, which is the your own personal deity that resides in the head and guides you throughout your life. They call it the Akra, Nakan, the Ka and Kamet, Selido, so forth and so on. So you have to form a relationship with that. You have to form a relationship with your Egbe, and your Egbe are basically your friends and your companions, or even your spouses in the spirit world. So it's people that you were close with, and you made a promise that you're going to still keep this relationship with them when you come to the spirit world, when you come to the material world. So these are already three entities that you have to keep up with, feed on a regular basis, invoke them, know their praise poetry, so forth and so on. And then you're going to add your tutelary deity that you initiate into. So these are four entities off the break that you have to form a relationship with. So sometimes, folks can get a little bit, it can be taxing, it could be arduous to where they don't want to do it, every day. But then again, if you brought all of these deities home, you have the responsibility to keep up with them. There's one story in Ifa, and again, I study Idasha Eridelagoon primarily. I just study Ifa for, philosophy and ethics and knowing more as an instructor. But so this is why I don't know the Odu off the top of my head. But in this story, it was speaking about someone named Didi and death. And it didn't say what Didi was doing or what was his occupation. But everywhere that Didi went, death or Iku was right behind it. So before Didi was going on his mission, doing some type of work, he performed divination. And it basically said, you have to keep on, giving your offerings, and you got to keep, divining on a regular basis so that, death won't have you. So everywhere that Didi went, he kept up his ritual and he kept moving. But also death sought divination as well. This is something that's kind of missed in our cultures, that just as the Orisha and benevolent people are divining, death and malevolent people are also divining. And then also it says that with Eshu, as Baba Wande and Bimbola says, is that Eshu is like the intermediate, the one that intermediates between the Ajogun and the Orisha. And he says that sometimes the Ajogun can be his errand boys. So like how he can control them or use them. So just as the deities are giving sacrifices, so are Ajogun. So death sought divination, and death did its elbow, and so everywhere that Didi went, death was right behind him. So one day, let's say if Didi is in San Francisco, went to Benin to San Francisco, the very next day, death is in San Francisco. But Didi already left and went to Australia. So by the time, Didi went to Australia, death followed him. Didi was already in, let's say for an example, Uganda. When death went to Uganda, Didi was already in, Madagascar, so forth and so on. So everywhere that this person was going, death was right behind them. So this is how Didi was able to evade death, by keeping up with his divination and his ritual. I say this because a good Kamal priestess, when I was starting off, trying to find my way, something that she would say, that she said to me when I was getting I was in my infant stage of the spirituality practice, the African-centered spirituality practice. So she said, before you start to look at all the in-depth rituals and the in-depth, expression, start with the basics. Start with the basics, right? If it's, the prayers every day or every night, that's the best place to start. And so she said something to me that I want to share with you all. The sister said that you are only as good as your last prayer, right? You never know when you leave the house on a new day to what you're going to encounter. And I personally don't feel comfortable having or saying a prayer or a ritual 5 days ago, and I'm stepping out the door today. We know that there are people who cannot wait to take something away from you. We know that there are some people who cannot wait to spread negativity. We know that there's people who cannot wait to steal. We know that there's people who cannot wait to lie, to conspire against individuals. And I don't want to be pessimistic or negative, but it's the truth. There's so much low vibration, negative energy out there that I do not feel comfortable just doing a prayer every 4 days or every 30 days when I know the type of people that are around this environment, this day, and this age. I just won't do it. So to me, even though we got the hustle and bustle of contemporary American life to where we cannot spend as much time as we want to, but it will highly benefit you. If you can't do it every day, do it every other day. Or if you can't do it in the morning, do it at night. You're only as good as your last prayer. And we have no idea what's going to happen when we step out of this door. Another thing to keep in mind is that we don't have to do these long seances. We're not asking you to sit down and get all into the aesthetic stuff and the breathing techniques and sitting down there for like an hour, trying to visualize and stuff like that. It's not even that deep. Start small, do the best you can with what you have. And so there's a step to this, and we have this on our site. That'll be posting soon on our Shay Fun site, to where there's everyday small things that you can do that should be no longer than about, let's say 15 minutes to start the day off, to push things away from you, to call things that you want to have here, and to be led in the right direction. So the main thing before we start praying for, money, which we want to have the money, we want to have the respect, we want to have joy and happiness. The number one thing that I would advise you all to pray for is pray for wisdom, pray for knowledge. Pray for the wisdom of the egungun of your elders and the knowledge of whatever occupation or craft that you feel that it's your purpose to execute into the world. Those are the two things that we pray for without fail. And we do it on a daily basis because we're conditioning reality. So when we're thinking about prayer, and sometimes I don't like using that word invocate, I like using, invoking, ritual, so forth. I don't know, because it almost creates some type of image that's inconsistent to what our intentions are. So what we're doing is that we are ushering and commanding Ashe, life force, to form into what we want it to be. So nothing is formed, nothing is divine, and nothing is defined, rather. And so there's a belief. So this is why we don't believe in destiny, so to speak, and we'll go over this in depth soon, is that there's no such concept that, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, things must happen this way, right? If you're not doing the work, even if you get a good reading, and if you're not doing the work, or if we're not moving in the right direction, those things will not happen. You have to do the work, and you have to show up. You, for an example, can have a reading by saying, hey, well, this business is going to be straight. All you have to do is make sure you and your business partner work together. And then, and two heads are better than one, is going to be successful. Now, some person can just hear, oh, successful, we're going to be rich. And they can completely neglect the fact that they need to work together with their business partner. And if they don't, then they're going to fail. And this is the reason why, right? Some people get blindsided by just saying Ire, blessings, and they don't do the Ebo. Or people think Ebo or sacrifice is just giving food, is just giving fruits, is just cutting up animals and giving it to a deity. And that's not only what Ebo means. If you study the poems during divination, they will tell you something that you should avoid, something you should do, or something that you should not do. And I can't think of one essay to where no matter what you do, if you just do the ritual, then you're good. My opinion is that there should be some type of behavioral change that one would need to keep in mind if you want to be successful. So saying all of that and really studying, the philosophy behind it, it is our suggestion is that you should be doing some type of ritual. If you can't do it every day, do it every other day. And it doesn't have to be long. It could be a simple prayer. Just, pray for wisdom, pray for guidance, pray for protection, keep death, keep sickness away from you, and just have someone to protect you. So if you're not initiated to your Tulare deity, is that you could reach out to your Egungun or your Orienu. Those two without fail are the people that are related to you by blood, and they're with you. If you keep this every day, you'll be led in the right direction, and things should just be, smooth for you. So this is our assumption, is that that thing that people are saying, is not true. There's some things that are specific to initiated people. I get it if you're not initiated, but waiting like every 30 days, to appreciate an icon, I get that people may be busy. To us, I don't think that's best spiritual practice. We know there's some things going on right now that I don't think we had ever experienced in the recorded time of humanity. There has never been like I could assume, I feel like there's an all-time low on purity, on ethics, on morals, on values, to where I personally don't feel comfortable just stepping on outside, not knowing that I'm not spiritually protected from seen entities and unseen entities. And I'll leave you just as my former Kamal Abut priestess used to say, you're just as good as your last prayer. So take that piece of